Good day everyone, I'm Sophia Dinglasan from BSc 26 and I'm here in front of you to discuss about the Title 7 of the Revised Penal Code, Article 210 Direct Bribery. At the end of the discussion, we will be able to know how direct bribery was committed, who are liable for this crime, and what are the penalties when we commit direct bribery. First, let us discuss the definition of bribery. So, what is bribery? Bribery. Bribery is a crime committed by a public officer who receives a gift, offer, or promise by reason in connection with the performance of his official function or duties. Please take note that it is committed by a public official. According to our law, bribery requires the concurrence of the will of the corruptor and the public officer, otherwise the crime cannot be consummated. It cannot be in the frustrated stage. This means that the public officer and the person who gave the gift, bribe, or promise can also be prosecuted. The crime of a public officer is direct bribery, and the crime of a person or corruptor who bribed is the corruption of public officer. Now, let us go to our main discussion. Bribery has two kinds. The first one is direct bribery and the latter one was indirect bribery. But for this video, we are going to talk about direct bribery. There are three punishable acts on how direct bribery was committed or when it is being committed. The first one is by agreeing to perform or by performing in consideration of any offer, promise, gift, or present, an act constituting a crime in connection with the performance of official duties. In this situation, because of the gift, offer, or promise, the public officer agrees to perform an act constituting a crime with the relationship of his profession. This act constitutes a crime wherein mere agreement consummates direct bribery. For example, you work as a public official in a particular city. Let's say you're in Tagaytay City. And someone offers you a gift, a present, or a promise to help him make his business legal since he lacks necessary requirements and paperwork. And you agree to falsify a public document, which is a violation of the Revised Penal Code. And in that case, you've already bribed someone directly. In other words, you've already engaged in direct bribery. Another example, you have a traffic violation. To set you free, you bribe a public officer who was performing his duty. And that person accepted the money you handed over and released you. And that is the time you also consider that as direct bribery. In addition, in this kind of situation, mere promise already constitutes direct bribery. Because of the approval and accepting of someone's promise, even if you have not received a gift or present, you have already committed direct bribery. Looking at it in another way, if the public officer refuses to accept the promise, offer, or gift, he didn't allow himself to be corrupted. The person offering the gift or the corruptor is liable for the attempted corruption of the public official. Second, by accepting a gift in consideration of the execution of an act which do not constitute a crime in connection with the performance of his official duty. This means that the actions agreed upon do not constitute a crime. The officer must accept the gift which mere agreement will suffice. For example, you gave a public official a gift, offer, or promise in exchange for a recommendation for an appointment. Recommendation for an appointment is not a crime. However, because of the gift, offer, and promise, the public officer agrees that you will be recommended in that certain position. This will be considered as direct bribery, although the recommendation does not constitute a crime. The public officer is liable for direct bribery. And the last one is by agreeing to refrain or by refraining from doing something which it is his official duty to do in consideration of a gift or promise. This pertains to an omission. The public officer refrains from doing what he is obliged to perform. The public officer is paid to perform his or her official duties because of the offer, gift, or promise given to him or her. And that's it. We already tackled all the acts on how to commit direct bribery. A public officer or a public official could be charged with direct bribery if any of these three things were done. Please take note that any public officials are liable for this crime. Now let's move on to the next one, which are the elements of direct bribery. Number 1, that the offender be a public officer. Number 2, that the offender accepts an offer or a promise or receives a gift or present by himself or through another. Number 3, that such offer or promise be accepted or gift or present received by the public officer with a view to committing some crime or in consideration of the execution of an act which does not constitute a crime but the act must be unjust, or to refrain from doing something which it is his official duty to do. Number 4, that the act which the offender agrees to perform or which he executes be connected with the performance of his official duty. Now we will discuss what are the penalties for direct bribery. Direct bribery penalties depends on the manner of commission. The first one is commission of which is agreeing to perform or by performing in consideration of any offer, promise, gift or present, an act constituting a crime in connection with the performance of his official duties. The penalties for this are prison mayor in its medium and maximum periods, and a fine of not less than 3 times the value of the gift, and the penalty corresponding to the crime agreed upon if the crime shall have been committed. The next one is accepting a gift in consideration of the execution of an act which does not constitute a crime in connection with the performance of his official duty. The penalties for this are if the public officer executed the act, it is the same penalties as above, which are the prison mayor in its medium and maximum periods, a fine of not less than 3 times the value of the gift, the penalty corresponding to the crime agreed upon if the crime shall have been committed. And if the act was not accomplished, the penalties for this are prison correctional in its medium period, a fine of not less than 2 times the value of the gift. And lastly, agreeing to refrain or by refraining from doing something which it is his official duty to do in consideration of a gift or promise. The penalties for this are prison correctional in its maximum period to prison mayor in its minimum period, and fine not less than 3 times the value of the gift. In addition to the penalties provided in the preceding paragraphs, the culprit shall suffer the penalty of special temporary disqualification. The provision contained in the preceding paragraphs shall be made applicable to assessors, arbitrators, appraisal and claim commissioners, experts, or any other person performing public duties.